Hello and welcome to TVOL, where we talk about tactics and their evolution. Today we're going to be taking a deeper look at the tactics employed by Aston Villa against Manchester United in their recent FA Cup tie, which acts as something as a preview to tomorrow, Saturday's Premier League match between the two same teams. Now, in the post-match press conference, Rangnick, as is characteristic of him on these occasions, was really quite open about the challenges presented by the opposition and how that reflected on his own side. So what he said was, we knew from the beginning that it would be a very challenging game for us against a very flexible Villa side, with their rotations that they're doing during the game all the time between their fullbacks and their eights. So this would be, for example, McGinn on the right-hand side, swapping positions, at least temporarily, with Cash playing right back in order to disrupt and confuse the Manchester United press and marking scheme so that they're able to very effectively move the ball forward. That was a notable part of the match you wouldn't necessarily pick up on watching a match live. So what we're doing here is taking a dig into that, which would act as something of a preview for tomorrow's game. But before we look into that particular tactical aspect, the rotations between the fullback and the eights, we're going to look at how Villa, right from the early stages of the match, were relatively easy to play through the Man United press, and they were trying to press the ball rather aggressively in the final third, with Rashford here and Fernandes and Cavani pushed up high, supported by Greenwood and McTominay. So what Mings does, recognising that he's not able to play the ball short through the press, is that he flicks the ball quite a direct way onto the chest of Buendia, who has dropped into a relatively deep position. What Buendia is then going to be able to do is play a relatively simple pass to Ramsey, who's then able to find McGinn in quite a lot of space towards the right-hand side. He's going to then be able to progress the ball into Buendia, who is moved back forward into a more advanced position, and the space is opening up. So it's opening up in front of the United defence, just behind the United attack, and here it's opening up in front of the United defence. So they are trying to press the ball aggressively, but Villa are able to relatively easily break through. And here you have Buendia on the turn here, having received the ball from McGinn, able to drive at the United defence and pick a pass from there. You can see here, as he tends to do, Shaw is drawn towards Cash on the right hand side, so that's opening up quite a bit of space in the channel, which we saw through the match that Watkins in particular was quite able to exploit. So now we're going back specifically to Rangnick's comments about the clever rotations that Villa were performing during the match between their eights in midfield and their fullbacks. So what happens here is that Martinez, the Villa goalkeeper, plays the ball out to the right-sided centre-back Konsa. Rashford, I think in general, was unsure about who he was supposed to be pressing on which types of occasions. So here he presses Konsa. He doesn't put sufficient pressure on the ball. He is able, Konsa that is, to easily find McGinn, who has swapped positions, that's the meaning of the word rotation here, with Cash, who's pushed up high towards the right-hand side and is pinning Luke Shaw back. So McGinn temporarily in the build-up is acting as a right-back. He ends up having the run of the right-hand side of the pitch here. United, as previously commented on, are quite light in the centre of the pitch. Fernandes nominally supposed to be supporting that area, but he doesn't. He plays more as a forward. And what happens is that United are overrun in midfield. McGinn is able to find Buendia, who is then on the turn and looking for options ahead of him. Moving into the second half of the match, we see the same sort of pattern. So McGinn is swapping positions, at least temporarily, with Cash. So he's playing right back in the build-up. Rashford isn't sure who to pick up. So Rashford is bypassed. Cash is able to drive towards the Manchester United's defence. At this point, Shaw, having not thus far backed up the press, because it only works so far, it's only so effective if you're pressing in forward areas, but then you're not backing it up. So then Shaw is drawn towards the ball at the later stages of this Aston Villa attack. Watkins is moving into the channel where he can potentially receive the pass. So again, the point is around the idea of the press being short-circuited, and what that means specifically is that Rashford, and to some extent Fred, although I think he tries to cover for the tactical deficiencies of the team, is only able to do so much. Rashford isn't clear who he's supposed to be picking up, and then Aston Villa are able to progress the ball really effectively. Here we see Cash in a more conventional way, playing a 1-2 with McGinn. McGinn is then able to find Cash on the run. With Varane, they are drawn towards the right-hand side, opening up space for Watkins to run into the channel. So the point here is about mixing it up. They don't follow the same rotation and the same pattern all the time throughout the match. Rangnick said it was all the time, but probably that's just the thing that sticks in his mind as giving United particular cause for concern from a defensive point of view. And what this type of rotation and this type of clever movement and the changes that Villa made throughout the match to their approach to progressing the ball was opening up all sorts of spaces in the Manchester United midfield, which was commented on, but at times also spreading the defence out across the width of the pitch, which in general is a bad place to be when you're in your own defensive third, because it gives the opposition the opportunity to run into those spaces. So now we're just going to summarise why this is an effective tactic and why it's a problem for a team like Manchester United, with perhaps in forward areas a lot of energy, but maybe not the intelligence of how or when to press. So here is a conventional example where Konsa is playing the ball out to Cash, playing in his usual right-back role. Then Shaw pushes up to challenge the ball. And this is relatively straightforward. There's always going to be a free man, and then it's up to Villa to find that, probably through circulating back through Konsa. However, if in this scenario McGinn drops to the right back area and Cash pushes very aggressively upfield and pins back Shaw, it creates new opportunities to progress the ball. So Rashford isn't quite sure who to press and who to mark because Cash has disappeared from view. Fred is then pulled across, leaving a huge amount of gap in the central area. Here McGinn chooses to play the ball into Cash, who plays the ball into Watkins, and they can play a 1-2 with Cash finding space towards the right-hand side in this hypothetical example. So that's giving United a huge amount of problem, and I think particularly they were given problems because Villa didn't in fact repeat this rotation throughout the match. They used it selectively, which presumably was a plan by Gerrard and his coaches. It is a tactic, I believe, that's been used by Gerrard during his time at Rangers. It's also, if you check out matches that AC Milan play, a tactic that they effectively utilise as well. And finally, this is just one other example from the match where Villa were effectively able to utilise and capitalise upon this particular tactic. So Martinez, the Villa goalkeeper, has the ball here. He plays the ball out to Konsa. McGinn again is switching into the right back position. Rashford is pressing Konsa because Cash has moved up towards the top end of the pitch. Buendia is capitalising on Villa's overload in central areas, and then he's able to turn and find Watkins. So this was giving United all sorts of trouble. And it's going to be really interesting to watch the match tomorrow in the Premier League between the two same teams to see if Villa utilise again this tactical approach and what, if any, counter strategies Rangnick and coaching team have devised to counteract that. And that is all for now. If you like this video, please express that by hitting the like button, and why not subscribe while you're at it. Drop me a comment with your thoughts and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.